police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Every horror fan knows that Purge movie and that countdown that I love. Those films explore a frightening concept where any and all crimes is legal in the United States for 12 hours straight and police will not respond. Now, people in Illinois are worried a new law could become a gateway for the Purge to really happen. It has taken root on social media and is spreading like wildfire. Rumors of a new law in Illinois, but is this true? Will it lead to a type of purge? While we love a good scandal here on The Factor Uncensored, we don't like misinformation. So we dug deep. Tonight we talk about the Safety Act in Illinois. The law takes effect in January in 2023. Let's get our discussion going. So Charles, many people are comparing the change in law in Illinois to the actual purge. What exactly is going on? Explain that to the viewer out there before they're misled.
Well, the analogy to the purge is a little ridiculous. And there was a mayor in Illinois who was saying that this law would prevent law enforcement from removing burglars or trespassers from your residence or your home or your business. And that's not true. There's nothing to support that sort of reactionary extremism. But it is a very, very bad law. And it's another example of criminal justice reform that is really just an abandonment of law-abiding citizens and victims and putting criminals in the driver's seat in America. And of course, they also have named it the Safety Act, right? SAFET. That is obviously another example of, and something Democrats and Republicans both do, but the Democrats have been doing it a lot lately, of naming legislation something that it doesn't at all do. In fact, it makes Illinois less safe. And then what it's done is it stripped the judges of the discretionary analysis designed to allow them to set an appropriate bond on an appropriate charge. And for a frightening number of charges, it basically says they have to be released, including murder. So what it is downstream from, we used to have a paradigm in Harris County where poor people would sit in jail for things like driving while license invalid or other misdemeanors that are not particularly consequential, a lot of drug crimes, right? And where people without the money would just have to take a plea or rob. And that was absurd. And it's something I saw. I became the presiding judge for a city in Harris County in 2005, I believe. And I immediately introduced PR bonds for all Class C warrants, right? Because why should people just sit in jail for days and days and days on a traffic ticket? It's absurd. But that pendulum that was way over here then has now swung way over here now. And where you're seeing, like in states like New York already, you're seeing this revolving door where people are committing worse and worse crimes and just walking out within hours. And it's a horrible thing. So while it's not the purge, it's an awful, awful thing for Illinois and for America. And it's most certainly not the appropriate reform we need.
Now, Charles, will the judges lose the ability to have a no bond on someone who they think is very dangerous, like we do here in Harris County? If someone is assessed as a very dangerous individual who's a repeat offender, they have the option of saying no bond.
So in Illinois was like most states in that you gave the judges the opportunity, the discretion to look at it, what is alleged to have occurred, look at the history, and define whether or not they believe there's a likelihood that they won't return or a danger to an individual or the community, right? And in Texas, that was pretty much the same three-prong analysis, except for the fact in Texas, we have a state constitutional right to bond. So we actually have a greater right to Texas to bond than most other states. But in Illinois, it's created on January 1st, there'll be this new paradigm where it strips judges of discretion and mandates release for things like kidnapping and murder and robbery. and they have to show a specific threat to a specific individual. So let's take a guy that murdered his wife, right? Well, his anger was just directed at his wife, and well, she's dead now, so he's not a threat to anyone else, so they got to release him. That is the literal mandated by this statute, and it's insane. And it's just, and what they talk about, the Democrats that push this, they talk about equity, right? And of course, there was, like I said, the old Harris County system was unfair to the poor, and it impacted people of color more than anyone else. But what we're doing in America now is we're telling, because crime is almost all socioeconomically and racially homogenous. White people commit crimes against white people, Hispanic people commit crimes against Hispanic people, black people commit crimes against black people. That's just the data, right? And period. So what we're doing is we're abandoning poor people of color to victim crime. We're saying, oh, it's like when you call 911 in Houston now. Well, it says, well, if your theft was less than $5,000, go report it online. I don't know about you, Isaiah, but for the majority of my life, $5,000, not anymore, but just thank God hard work pays off. But $5,000 would have destroyed me, right?
Yeah.
Maybe unable. And we just started this new paradigm where the government is telling victims, no. And this is just another example of it. It's horrifying.
I like the way Charles made it clear he's not broke anymore. This story is making a lot of noise on social media. We're not done just yet. We'll continue it after the break. And welcome back to Factor Uncensored. We're continuing our coverage of a law coming to Illinois next year. The new Safety Act is making a lot of people feel anything but safe. The law will eliminate cash bail for multiple crimes, according to users on TikTok. This sounds like the plot of the Purge. Let's continue our discussion and the reason for many people saying it is the beginning of the Purge that's trending on social media.
And Karen, what are people saying on social media? Obviously, there's an element that Charles and I talked about where people are calling this the Purge. Obviously, unfair comparison to what we know what the movie is and the reality of that is. But why is this so hot on social media, Karen?
Yeah, I think the use of the word the purge, it's a fear-mongering term, which we know TikTokers are really great at. You know, TikTok is the trend-setting platform of social media. It is where trends start. It is where things just kind of take shape and then evolve onto the other platforms. It is great for spreading not only terms, but in this case, awareness, which is actually a good thing. And through the years, we know that social media has promoted social change, has been a really pivotal part of social awareness and awareness to social injustice. And it's been, you know, the precedent to change. And so in this case, I think that the TikTok users are just trying to create awareness and really trend with this topic because it is
almost a red herring there, right?
Exactly. And so they're using this, I think, for the good of the people and creating awareness about this topic. However, it's borderline fear-mongering because, you know, it is scary. If I lived in Illinois and I heard about this happening in my community, I'd want to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. And so, you know, kind of going into what Charles was saying, we have to just bring this all the way back to the justice system and determine, hey, are we doing the right thing? But I think, you know, this is how it's being presented to the people. It is being presented as the purge, and it's really creating a lot of fear.
And Charles, do you see this form of social justice reform spreading across the country?
Well, I think it's important, right? I think it's important that we have a ability to exercise our voice, and I think social media does that. I don't TikTok, right? Maybe I'm too old at 50 years old. Maybe I shouldn't set up or get with Karen and set up a TikTok. But obviously Instagram quite a bit. I do think that there are negatives and positives, but I do see social action in the political theater as a positive, right? Because what we have here is this movement amongst many on the left, right, to try to force feed people stuff that doesn't make any sense, right, in the name of equity. And you have the very people they're supposedly allegedly helping are the ones that are banning it. The only ones that are being helped by this are criminals, right? And they could have very easily said, hey, for misdemeanors, we're going to have no cash bail. We're just going to have PR bonds and we're going to have supervision when we see it's necessary. But they did. They went all the way up the chain to second-degree murder. And it's insane. And it does create the situation. We're seeing it all over America. Even our mayor here was trying to parse the crime data and say, well, Houston's not the most dangerous. Crime is out of control. And while there are many problems on the conservative side of the fence, there's many things that the Republicans do very, very, very wrong. But at some point, it's time for the media to put a spotlight on what the Democrats are doing wrong. And what we can't have is this kind of media complicit bias. We need everyone, a single voice, saying crime's out of control. I don't care what party you're in. I don't care what your politics are. Victims matter. And we've got to do something about it, because this Safety Act is anything but safe. It's an abandonment of law-abiding people in Illinois.
And once again, as Charles has said, this is in Illinois and not here in Texas, and not all over the country just yet. But we thank you guys for your expertise here on The Factor Uncensored. We'll continue to watch this and see where it goes. Thank you both.
Definitely will be.
So don't believe all of that purge stuff in Illinois. Just come to The Factor and we'll set you straight with all the details.